Hi Trinity friends. I'm here today with a new friend, and her name is Denise, and she's going to be with us today as we are reading a story together and talking about Proverbs, and as we're reading a book together. I'm so glad you've joined us, Denise. The Bible story that I'm going to read for you today is in the Growing in God's Love, a story Bible that some of you have. And this is a story about a man who was getting ready to become king. Do you have any idea who that might have been? You are right. It was King Solomon. King Solomon. And just before he was getting ready to become king, this is what happened. If you could ask God for one thing, what would it be? King Solomon had that chance. Solomon was a brand new king. King David had ruled for many years. Now it was his son Solomon's turn. Solomon wanted to be a good king like his father David. He decided to go to a place called Gibeon to pray. Lots of people went there to pray. While Solomon was at Gibeon, God came to him in a dream. Solomon, king of Israel, what do you want from me? Ask me for anything, and I will give it to you. Wow. Can you imagine? Wow. Solomon thought carefully about God's question. How should he answer? God said, Solomon, you were kind to my father, King David. He followed in your ways and was a good king. Now you have made me king, but I feel so young, I don't know what I'm doing. Solomon paused for a moment. Now he had an answer to God's question. He wanted to ask for something to help him be a good king. What would be the best thing to ask for? What do you think, Denise? Yes, he could ask for a big army. He could, yeah. He could ask for a grand palace. He could, yes, he could ask for that, yeah. Suddenly, Solomon had an idea. He knew how to answer God's question. Give me wisdom, Solomon said. Then I can rule your people fairly. If I have your wisdom, I will know right from wrong. I will be able to see things the way you see them. Then I will be a good king. That's a great prayer, isn't it? God was pleased that Solomon had asked for wisdom. You have chosen well, replied God. You asked for wisdom to make the right decisions. I will give you what you asked. You will be the wisest person who has ever lived. I will also give you some things you did not ask for. You will have riches and you will be famous. Now go, follow me and keep my commandments. I will be with you forever, just as I was with your father, David. Then Solomon woke up. He knew that God had spoken to him in that dream. He went back to his palace in Jerusalem and gave thanks to God. That's such a good story, isn't it, Denise? A good story about someone who had the chance to ask for anything. And like you said, he could have asked for a big army. He could have asked for a palace. Yeah, he could have asked for anything. A horse. He could have asked for a horse. But he asked for wisdom. Now, I want to talk about what wisdom is. Wisdom is like being smart, but it is also different from being smart. If you are smart, Denise, you will know that 1 + 1 = 2. Yes. But if you are wise, You will know that two people working together on something will be more successful than one person doing it alone. 1 + 1 = 2. If you're smart, Denise, you will know that if you mix yellow paint and blue paint, you are right, green paint. You will get green paint. But if you are wise, you will know that we are stronger when we all come together than if we are separated from each other. Solomon asked God to help him be wise. And Solomon didn't keep his wisdom to himself. He shared it with others. And so some of that wisdom we find in a book of the Bible called Proverbs. Some Proverbs are very helpful for big people and for little people as we try to figure out how to live in ways that please God. I'm going to share some of the Proverbs I think are most helpful for young people like you and like you. These are also helpful for adults, just so you know. The first one I want to share is Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. And it says, "Trust in God with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. In all your ways, do what is pleasing to God. Then God will make your paths smooth and straight." So what does it mean to trust something? Well, I'm sitting on this couch, and I trust that it's going to hold me up, right? That I'm not going to just get tumbled out onto the floor, because I trust it. I trust it. It's sturdy. It's strong. I trust it. And sometimes, we trust our parents or other trusted adults we know. We trust them because they know things we don't know, and we rely on them to learn what is safe and what is true and what is right. So what this proverb says is, if we trust in God in that way, God will help us in our life. Yeah, so that's a good one. The next one is Proverbs 22:1. "You should want a good name more than you want great riches. To be highly respected is better than to have silver or gold." You like silver and gold? I do too. I like jewelry. I like silver and gold, yes. But those things are important to me, but they're not the most important thing to me, because we can have those things and still not be right with God. And so what we want, and also not treat people very well, and then people won't look up to us and say, well, look at them, they're very important and special. What makes people look at someone and say they're very important and special is how you make them feel, right? And if you have a good heart. So we have to think about what we want people to say when they hear our name. What do you feel when you hear someone's name? Do you feel, oh, that's a really wonderful person? Or do you think, well, that person has a lot of things, but they don't know how to treat people, right? So, this is saying it's way more important to have a good heart, way more important than to have lots of things, yeah? And then Proverbs 21:5, I like this one. It says, "Good planning and hard work lead to prosperity, but hasty shortcuts lead to poverty." Now, what I think that's about is, have you ever had an assignment or a job to do and you just didn't feel like doing it? I have. And it's a big temptation when that happens to do a shortcut or to not do it at all. And what this proverb teaches us is that taking shortcuts doesn't help us be successful. It's better to just go ahead and do the work that is required and to do it to the best of your ability. Yeah, I like that. Okay, these last two. These are about what you say with your mouth. Proverbs 12:15. "The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but a wise person listens to advice advice. Now, it is easy for us to close our ears to any advice or ideas that other people have because we have just decided we are right. And this proverb tells us that it is very important to listen and not just to talk. Some people just talk and talk and talk and they never listen. And God wants us to listen. And then this one says, Proverbs 16:24, it says, gracious words are a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. Wow, I like that. And what it's telling us is that if we use kind words and gracious words, we build people up. We help people feel really good about themselves instead of making people feel bad about themselves. And you know, people can do that, Denise, can't they? They can make fun of people or bully them. And it's so important for us to choose words that make people feel good about themselves and that give life to people instead of tear them down. Yeah? So I like those Proverbs. I think those are so helpful for us. And that's what wisdom is all about. It's about learning how to live in ways that please God and in ways that make life easier and better. Okay, so the book I want to share today is called What in the World is Wrong with Gisbert? And this one has to do with that last proverb I said about gracious words being like honey and being sweet to the soul, right? Gracious words. Are we ready? Are you all ready? What in the world is wrong with Gisbert? Gisbert was a tall, young giraffe. He was tall enough to do everything a giraffe might want to do. He watched TV. He played with his friends. My life is very good, he thought, as he closed his eyes for a nap in the trees. But then one day, something changed. On his way to kindergarten on Monday, he heard two hyenas whispering, "Look at his brown spots." They laughed and exclaimed, "They are all over him. That looks funny." Suddenly, Gisbert felt something strange happen. He was shrinking a whole 2 inches. No one else could see it, but he could. In music class on Tuesday, he was learning a new marching song on the trumpet. He had some trouble with the song and messed up a few of the notes. All the others dropped their instruments and covered their ears. "Oh boy, that sounds awful," the hippo said. Gisbert felt it clearly. He was shrinking again, a whole 6 inches. No one else could see it, but he could. "Are you all right?" asked his parents that evening. "I'm fine," he said, but inside he thought, "I don't know what's going on." At the playground on Wednesday, it happened again. 2 giggling ostriches raced past him and shouted, "Move along, beanpole!" Gisbert felt it clearly. He was shrinking again, a whole 10 inches. No one else could see it, but he could. That night he stood in front of the mirror. The shrinking seemed to be unstoppable. His parents noticed that he wasn't feeling well. "What has upset you?" they asked, worried. "I'm fine," he said, but inside he thought, "I don't know what's going on." In gymnastics class on Thursday, he tried to hang from the climbing pole for the first time in his life. It took all his courage to try. He stood on the gym mat, concentrating, when he heard the apes whisper, "He better not try it. Giraffes can't do that. He'll fall." Gisbert felt it clearly. He was shrinking again, a foot this time. No one else could see it, but he could. Is there something we can help you with? His parents asked him that evening. I'm fine, he said. But inside he thought, I don't know what's going on. At the swimming pool on Friday, things didn't go any better. Gisbert really wanted to try the new slide, but everything went wrong. He was so tall he got stuck on one of the curves. Watch out, Blockade, the lion shouted. Everyone laughed. It was quite some time before somebody could rescue him. Gisbert felt it clearly. He was shrinking again, 2 whole feet. No one else could see it, but he could. Are you still not feeling better, Gisbert? His parents asked that evening. He could tell they were concerned. I'm fine, he said. But inside he thought, I don't know what's going on. On the playground on Saturday, Gisbert wanted to join his friends in the playhouse. I've shrunk so much this week, he thought, so I won't take up much space. But the others said, you don't fit in here, Gisbert. Gisbert felt it clearly. He was shrinking again. 2 more feet. No one else could see it, but he could. We are very worried about you, Gisbert, said his parents that evening. Gisbert crept under the sofa. I'm fine, he said, but inside he thought, I don't know what's going on. On Sunday, he felt so sad and so small, nothing seemed to be much fun to him anymore. Gisbert stayed home from school the whole next week. His mother hugged him and his father tickled him between the horns, but nothing seemed to cheer him up. Then one day, his friends left a small present on his doorstep. Come back to school, the note read. We miss you. Slowly, he started feeling better. That night, when his parents asked if he was okay, he said, now I know what's going on. Gisbert told his parents everything that had happened. Their words made me feel like I was shrinking, he said, and the smaller I got, the worse I felt. But it's not bad to be tall or small. Meerkats are small, so are mice and ants. But I feel so weak and sad. Sometimes people say things that hurt you, even if they don't mean to, his mother said. It's okay to tell them that their words made you sad. And you can always talk to us, Gisbert, his father added. Yeah, that's a good thing to do. It really is. When they were done talking, Gisbert felt much better. The very next day, Gisbert went to the playground again. Hey, look, there's Gisbert, the hippo shouted. It's great to have you back, the lion roared. The others nodded. Join us in the playhouse, they said. It's going to rain soon. The ape reached out for Gisbert's hand and he joined his friends. We all miss you, his friends said. Our orchestra sounds boring without you, the hippo said. We can't cross the river without you, the lion added. We're sorry that our words made you sad, Gisbert, they all said. We didn't mean to do that. By the way, the hyena added, you look really cute with those spots. Gisbert looked at his friends. All of a sudden, he felt something happening. It started in his feet and spread all over him. A cozy, warm feeling as if the sun was shining inside of him. Nobody suspected that something was about to happen, not even Gisbert. But then he burst through the roof. Everyone laughed and laughed. Gisbert was tall again. He had grown a whole 6 feet in half a second, and everyone could see. I really like that story because it reminds us the same thing that last proverb does, how important it is to think carefully before we use words that might hurt someone or make them feel bad about themselves. And so I want us all to remember that whenever we're using our words. And to remember about wisdom, all the things that Proverbs teaches us about how to be wise and how to live in ways that please God. Thank you all. So we do have a very short song to sing today, and I have Denise with me, and Carol has Barbara with her, and we're going to sing In My Life, and it goes like this. In my life, Lord, be glorified, be glorified. In my life, Lord, be glorified today. So we're going to sing that, and then we're going to sing In My Words, Lord, be glorified. So those are the two stanzas we're going to sing today. Are we ready? Are you guys ready? All right. In my life, Lord, be glorified, be glorified. In my life, Lord, be glorified today. In my words, Lord, be glorified, be glorified. In my words, Lord, be glorified today. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon.